What is up, Patreon, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm giving you guys my updated thoughts on It, which is now, I guess, known as It Chapter 1, but the first It movie, the one that came out in 2017. Top 10 favorite movies of that year, absolutely. I enjoyed it. It's one I was excited to go back and revisit for the first time in about a year. My wife and I did that, and today I'm just going to give you guys some updated thoughts, and in preparation for the new movie that I'm actually going out and seeing here in a few hours. I just want you guys to let me know, what do you think about the first It? Does it live up to the hype? Because I know there's a lot of hype going into this movie, and maybe that's why the new one is disappointing some. And how would you compare it to the old It, the television special series that I wanted to go back and revisit, but I'm just like, I'm not the biggest fan, so I'm not going to do that to myself. Let's talk about the first It. So in the summer of 1989, a group of bullied kids band together to destroy a shape-shifting monster which disguises itself as a clown and preys on the children of Derry. And you can't talk about the first It without talking about Bill Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise. One of the best and just coolest, and at this point I'd say most iconic horror performances of all time. Listen, I love Tim Curry, and he is the redeeming part of that old series. But just because the series doesn't measure up to what it could have been in terms of quality, I don't look back at Tim Curry's performance and go, that's the one that did it. That's the one that got me on board. Because it didn't, right? He was great, but the show and the quality of the show was bad, in my opinion. Now, you guys may love that one. But I go into this new one, I'm just like, I'm excited, right? I like the trailer a lot. I like the film style. I like the look of the movie. And Andy Muschietti was an interesting name. I'm like, well, let's see what this guy can do. And one of my favorite parts of the first It movie is the fact that you have a great movie, a great coming-of-age story with a great lead villain, but it's also a horror film, right? But because of all of those things that I just mentioned, it transcends what horror movies are. Now, in terms of the horror, in terms of the scares of the first It movie, and it might not be fair because horror movies just don't scare me. Even the really good ones, they just don't scare me. Hereditary, probably the most scared that I've been, but it wasn't like jump scared, like, it was more unnerved. I was more like, this is weird, she's in the corner of the roof. It's that kind of scary, because jump scares, they don't work. Like, it's even the case when I go into a haunted house. My wife, panic attack, she's like, oh, I'm scared, and jumping, and I'm just like, boo, haha. And I don't act like that when I'm in a haunted house. I'll play it up, and I'm running and happy, but things don't scare me, right? So for it to not jump scare me when the jump scares were happening, I was like, all right, that's the case with all of them. So I'm not going to say this movie is horrifying, but it's the unnerving nature, to use that word again, unnerving nature of Pennywise. This clown, if you're afraid of clowns now, this movie's going to really scare you. But this clown is just so entertaining, and it's the subtle things that he does in the movie. It's the subtle performance by not the subtle performance by Skarsgård, but it's those little, like, when he takes the kid's severed hand and waves with it, or when he's doing this and his feet are flying up in the little playhouse thing, like towards the end. Those moments are so iconic because they're so zany and wacky and over the top, and I said the word subtle, but I mean subtle as in those things that maybe you don't think about when you look at the character of Pennywise. Things that are more funny than scary. I think I actually prefer that aspect of the character over the horrifying moments. And there were horrifying moments in this movie when, Pennywise gets really, really big and he's in the garage and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is petrifying. And even the first scene in the film, like chopping the kid's arm off, I didn't expect it to be that graphic and that intense. And I'm like, oh, that's what we're going for? So we mix dark with funny, with just a slight shift in genres every couple of scenes, and usually that would make me sit back and go, especially in a horror movie, right? But it is different. It is different. It really is, because I just think this movie handles everything in such a way that makes it thoroughly entertaining. Not too scary, but scary enough for a scary movie. Now, every now and then, it does just kind of overuse the jump scare and the utilization of when it builds up to something and then every now and then the payoff isn't going to be the best. It was about 50-50 for me. But it wasn't 50-50 like 50% is really good, 50% is really bad. It's like 50% is really good. The other 50%, I'm like, all right, didn't work, but I'm sure it worked on others. Nothing about this film was sloppy, and that's the thing. Like most horror movies, generic horror movies I'm watching nowadays, I'm just like, it's sloppy. Like the Annabelles and a lot of the movies in the Conjuring universe, and I hate to say that because I love the Conjuring universe, but that's the way it is. And then those random, like what was the Slender Man last year, like that's just, it's so lazy, and they're just trying to make a profit and capitalize on the name of Slender Man. And honestly, I was afraid that this first It movie was going to do that, and it didn't. It ended up being super high quality, super entertaining, and the best part about the movie is it's a coming-of-age story, right? Sure, it takes elements from Stranger Things, but Stranger Things may have taken elements from the original It and the Stephen King novel, right? You can go back and forth on that all day long. It's all about the execution. It's all about how they handle it. And the first It movie, the first modern It movie, handled all of those things. The cast, the kids are so good, man. They are so good in this movie. I love everyone. There's not one performance. Maybe, I mean, Stanley was good, but I don't remember Stanley that much. But he wasn't even flat. He was good. And that's one thing I'm a bit worried about this new movie going in. I'm like, there's no kids here. And the thing that I liked about the first the most is the fact that it was a coming-of-age story. So you got to deliver on the scares. You got to deliver on the intensity, and you got to give me a story that makes me feel like, okay, these are the grown-up kids. Where are they at now? So I'm excited for the new one. If it's better than this, I'm going to be like, this is one of the greatest horror series of all time. If it's not, that's fine, because I give the first It a 90%, guys, which I think is 2 percentage points higher than what I gave it when I first saw it 3 or 4 watches ago. But I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's a horror movie that I revisit. Don't say that very often. And it works. It works so well for me. So what did you guys think of the first It? Are you excited for It Chapter 2? And do you guys hope it lives up to the hype? I certainly hope so, but we'll just have to see. Thank you so much for being on this Patreon page, for supporting. Hey, this morning on YouTube, I posted mine and Cooper's podcast just as kind of a draw to this Patreon page so people know what we're doing over here. I'm not going to do that for every episode, but I just wanted this to, where it's the first one, be like, oh, introducing, you know. So if you guys want to go over there and give that a like, that would be awesome. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching this, appreciate you guys supporting me, and I'll see you very soon.